Our second speaker is Dr. Clare Suet Ching. She is an associate professor of ethnomusicology at University Pendidikan Sultan Idris, or UPSI, in Malaysia. She has a PhD in music from the University of Hawaii at Manoa, and she was a Fulbright recipient and East-West Center of Hawaii Degree Fellow. Dr. Clare served as the Deputy Dean of Research and Graduate Studies at the Faculty of Music and Performing Arts at UPSI from 2011 to 2017. She is currently the Chief Editor of the Malaysian Journal of Music. Her paper will be a Semai musician's natural pedagogy of indigenous musical instruments and songs from Malaysia.
The Semai are the largest group of Orang Asli, literally translated as original people of Malaysia. Most Semai villages are found on the foothills and mountains of southern Perak and northwest of Pahang. Located in the lowland and upland rainforests, the Semais live in a natural environment surrounded by the rich flora and fauna of the Malaysian rainforest. During the pre-colonial period, Semai children grew up learning and performing the music and songs that accompanied rituals, rites of passages, and festive celebrations transmitted through the oral tradition. The musical interest of the Semai is now slowly being subsumed by popular music easily available on the internet. The Semai form their own music bands that perform for weddings and festivals. Karaoke singing is a popular form of entertainment. The Semai love dangdut and joget songs. Most of the younger generation have very little interest in Semai traditional songs and music related to social cultural life and values. Schooling was first introduced to the Orang Asli children through Christian missionaries in the 1930s. The British then established formal education for the Orang Asli children through the formation of the Department of Aboriginal Affairs in the 1950s. This department is now known as the Department of Orang Asli Development. Through the development plans of Jaguar, elementary schools were built in Orang Asli villages. In these national schools, Orang Asli children are taught from standardized syllabus of the national curriculum with textbooks, curricula, and teaching materials provided by the Ministry of Education. Semai children learn mainly English and Malay songs from these textbooks. This standard curriculum provides little flexibility for diverse learners from different cultural backgrounds and learning capacity. A different syllabus and assessment system has yet to be developed for those living in rural vicinities, having poor command of Bahasa Melayu, the national language, and English. Orang Asli education has been plagued by many issues, such as high dropout rates, students playing truant, a lack of interest in the national curriculum, and lack of Orang Asli teachers. Abdul Razak and Zalizan states that some of the reasons for these problems are that the Orang Asli children are unable to understand or remember what was taught, they lose interest and determination after failure, and lack self-motivation. According to Nawaliza, there has been attempts to diversify the educational approaches to teaching, including A. Teaching and learning that is fun, holistic and hands-on approaches, motivational and reward-based learning. Abdul Razak states that Orang Asli children like to listen to stories, receive instruction in their own language. They also like to ask many questions, sing and learn through games. Orang Asli children like jokes, physical exercises, watching and playing in the playground or playing computer games. There has been research on alternative teaching approaches for children of different cultural backgrounds. Among them are Indigenous pedagogy and culturally responsive pedagogy. These pedagogies recommend learning through observation and experience and least intervention, diverse approaches to acquire knowledge and information, experimenting with various approaches based on the ability and competency of the child, the use of indigenous language in teaching, respect, support, and acknowledgement of the knowledge, language, and heritage of the indigenous people, and understanding the way indigenous children learn. This research explored an alternative method of teaching and learning, one suited for indigenous communities living in rural areas. The research examined the teaching pedagogy of an indigenous musician, assuming the role of an educator. The research also hopes to motivate the Semai to reclaim their musical heritage and regain some control over the musical development of their children through formal education in the oral tradition. A qualitative research based on a non-interventive observation between the researchers, Valerie Ross and I, and a Semai musician known as Alang Bahkang for a period of 6 months was carried out. Alang has no training in Western music theory and pedagogy. The research was conducted in Kampung Orang Asli, Batu 15, a Semai village located in Tapa in the state of Perak, on the way to Cameron Highlands. The main subjects were a Semai musician and a group of 15 Semai children ranging from ages 6 to 12. The musical instruments taught were the pensol, a nose flute, kerep, bamboo zither, and centong, bamboo stamping tubes. To maintain proximity to the context in which Semai music was transmitted, the researchers outlined a few fundamental approaches to research, including the pedagogical setting, learning from a familiar face, original learning contexts, and the use of natural acoustics. The pedagogical model for the study was premised on the idea of familiar space, familiar learning environment, and in indigenous learning and teaching. Teacher and the physical and pedagogical space between our students shifted based on the musical instruments and songs that were taught. Unlike the common classroom teaching, where there is a clear separation between the teacher and student, the space between Alang and his students was less demarcated. There was no central authoritative teacher space reserved for the teacher. Alang was mobile and adjusted his position to suit the musical instrument that he was teaching, while taking into account the number of children in attendance. The children were also free to move around Alang if they wanted to get a better view of the musical instrument he was teaching or the song text that he held in his hand. Authoritative approach used by action or participation based on interests. We observed that only specific children maintained their attention and interest on the pensol, the nose flute. A few children were persistent enough to keep experimenting with their breathing to achieve a smooth tone on the pensol. Alang focused on teaching the children who were able to produce a steady and good tone of the pencil and allowed the others to self-experiment on their own. Some children were more attached to the curve, while others showed better skills in mastering the rhythmic stamping of the centong. Some children became restless and wandered off outside to play. One may see this as a natural elimination or selection of potential players for specific musical instruments based on interest, determination, and persistence. This phenomenon is one of the significant observations of this research. It suggests that children should be encouraged to continue learning an instrument not by force but by self-directed interest. Children should be nurtured to pursue something they enjoy learning. A similar situation was observed during the teaching of the kerep. Since Alang focused on only some children, the others began to form their own groups and strum the kerep to the popular song of their choice, Budak Kampung.
Apalagi beraja mau bayar goyang kawin sama kamu. Aku tidak tonu kelongaran genap benua.
Jok try baku pun soalnya aja deh. Dia kena tahu dengan lagu. Kalau tak tahu lagu tu, dia payah. Yuk saja punya tempo, dia tak tahu susah nak.
Embracing music across cultures. To play the pencil, one has to master breathing techniques. Most of the music repertoire for the pencil utilizes harmonics and are highly ornamented with turns. Alang had learned these songs by rote, and there was no documented sequential approach to learning the pencil. When Alang began teaching these songs to the beginners, he realized that it was far beyond their level as beginners. Therefore, he quickly chose a song that was familiar to children to teach the 4 basic tones of the pencil. Interestingly, the song that Alang chose was Wow Bulan, one of the most popular Malay folk songs learned and sung by Malaysian children in national primary schools. This intuitive reaction showed that the Indigenous musician was adept at making independent decisions in response to the current situation and was not fixated on references from books nor theories. Growing up in a multicultural environment, Malaysians are subconsciously exposed to folk tunes from various ethnic groups, especially the Malay ethnic groups. These songs have become embedded in the Malaysian subconsciousness. Familiarity was one of the reasons Alang chose Wow Bulan, the basic form. Culture in pedagogy. In his pedagogy, Alang utilized many Semai words to instruct the children. These words inform us of what the Semai believes is important in learning. Alang utilized terms such as nana, na, 1, 2, 3 to cue the entry into the music. He often asked the children to cengai, or listen, and neng, to see. For the learning process, Alang asked the children to kerlos, to repeat, chok be, try to play it, banich, play the song, and kanam, play together. He praised the children using the word gabor, good. The instruction of cengai points to the importance of listening carefully before imitating, an important Semai musical pedagogy that stems from their cultural practices. Neng stresses the importance of watching and observing before doing, as a practical yet meticulous way of learning passed down from generation to generation. Mnemonic sounds from natural resources. Alang began introducing the names of the longer and shorter bamboo stamping tubes. The longer bamboo stamping tube was called the jantan, or male, and the shorter one, betina, female. Alang also created his own mnemonic sounds to accompany the stamping of the centong. These sounds were dung for jantan and deng for betina. He indicated that the jantan should be stamped first for the Sangkut Dipulai Yang Debor song. The jantan was commonly held with the right hand while the betina with the left. Creative symbolic notation. The challenging part of performing Semai songs is to sing while simultaneously stamping the centong in rhythm. As some children had difficulty stamping the correct rhythm, Alang created his own visual notation system for the stamping patterns to a familiar Semai Jenolak song titled Sangkut Dipulai Yang Debor. He admitted that he did not know how to write the speed, or in Western terms, rhythm, for the centong. The visual notation was divided into two sections, kantop, right, and kanbil, left.
Centuk. Centong. Okay. Nana, narne. Dum dum den, dum den den, dum dum den, dum den den, dum den, dum den den, dum den, dum den. Tarik satu, bercit ijen nagon, kelung Allah, dum dum deng, dum deng deng, dum deng dum dum deng, dum deng deng, dum dum deng, dum deng deng, dum. Lawet arela pui selagawi kulut, pui perman sengi kelung halam, dum dum deng, dum deng deng, dum dum deng, dum deng deng, dum. Gunung elah ada, tak jaga kendung jenuh. Bye bye. Gue bye. Bukan potong kayak ada barang.
Conclusion. First, while Alang's teaching approaches may appear chaotic to Western music pedagogy in terms of structure, organization, space, and classroom control, it did not appear so among the Semai children. I believe there is a relation between the cultural values of egalitarianism, sharing, communality with Alang's pedagogy. As Alexander states, while the teacher does not realize it, what they do arises from underlying theories and beliefs that are inferred from their actions. Second, Alang explored his capacity as an educator, created and refined his methods through trial and error. Although these methods seemed imperfect, Alang's approaches embodies the Semai's innate and natural ability inherited from their ancestors' livelihood, whose survival was based on their ability to adapt and recreate. These values of versatility and flexibility are subconsciously passed on through Alang's pedagogy. Third, the Semai children went through individual learning experience and also group instruction through collaborative learning and group effort. While the children explored their personal growth, collaborative learning also enhanced their ability to work together. The activity of Semai children playing together and making music as an act of social cohesiveness and solidarity through creative and cultural pedagogy has been an important achievement of this research. Alang's pedagogy actually supports and reaffirms the concepts and alternate pedagogies recommended by research on Indigenous pedagogy and culturally responsive pedagogies discussed. The findings in this research affirm several concepts by music educators. Pamela Bernard argued for different ways of conceptualizing and assessing creativities. In order to appreciate and understand the values embedded in various pedagogy, one must understand the cultural values that construct it. Gary McPherson states that music education should involve multiple entries and exit points throughout the human lifespan, allowing individuals to maximize their engagement in music. While the Semai children learn music from Alang, they are also learning music from national schools. Both opportunities equip them with multiple identities, to be unique individuals, yet having the ability to find their niche in the modern world. Last, I draw on Tim Kane's suggestion not to determine the best practice, but rather what practices are used to achieve what. This research argues that context, aim, and meaning of music in children's life should be considered in determining the teaching and learning approaches implemented on them. Thank you.